So this is for my personal history, just kind of showing my background and how I came to be where I am and how I developed the ideas or the interests that I have. I was born in Seattle in the Pacific Northwest. I lived in Ballard, an awesome little neighborhood on the west side of Seattle. Very cozy. My mom was a single mom, so we were really poor. So I grew up reliant on a lot of charity things. My mom went to the food bank. I had a lot of hand-me-down clothes. In our house, we had a whole lot of roommates, so like a lot of random people coming in to live with us, and so I had to get used to that when I was a kid. You know, a lot of strange things. So, you know, sometimes there was a drunk or sometimes there was a smoker that, you know, I'd come in and be exposed to something strange that, you know, most kids shouldn't, but a lot of kids sadly do have experience with, you know, grown-ups losing their cool and, you know, kind of exposing them to a mindset or reality that's, you know, just kind of sick. Which, you know, our society tends to promote. So I grew up poor and, you know, really kind of embarrassed that I had, you know, roommates. I didn't want to invite too many friends around because, you know, the Ballard has a lot of rich kids there. But I was very thankful of how my mom raised me and that I could live in such a nice neighborhood. So as I grew up, I had you know, a keen sense of frugality. I don't know if that's a word, but as in, you know, a sense of trying to conserve our resources and money, and I would save it, keep it around, and spend it only on something that I really wanted. But in the end, I started just really disliking the monetary system and our just complete reliance on it. And I didn't like the options that were available for me to get this, you know, all-powerful resource. So I grew up going to high school and junior high and off into high school. I was a big loner, off by myself most of the time. I didn't feel like I related to most of the kids, and I got to the point where I got really, really depressed, and depressed and alone, and you know, feeling like I just didn't want to be a part of anything that was going on because it all just, in a way, kind of disgusted me. And so, you know, I was left alone in my deep, dark desperation and depression, and I was forced to, in a way, think myself out of it. So that's how I became extremely contemplative. I had to think really deeply about what was going on in the world, why I was depressed, and if there was a way of life that I could live that I'd be genuinely happy living, that I wouldn't need to take pills or go to counseling to enjoy my life or just be happy naturally. And so I started looking around on the internet, see if anybody was practicing a more pure way of life or a more free way of life where we're free to choose our own direction. And even if we fall or we mess up along the way, we have a firm foundation to come back to and recharge and heal and strike out again on any path that we wish to go on. So in my high school years, I started searching around on the internet, and I started learning a whole lot about this New Age stuff and all the New Age movements, and one day I found out about Earth ships and that people are actually working hard towards this awesome sustainability. You can build an Earth ship on top of a mountain and completely sustain yourself. And so human communities could spring up anywhere at any remote location and just be out in the wilderness, you know, in the clean air and away from all the pollution. and actually experiment in a way of living to learn what our culture would be like without all this crap. So I learned about these things. I learned about earthships, and then I found out about permaculture and food forests in particular. I love the concept of a food forest. I was used to seeing farms driving by where they just grow one kind of crop and sweeping wheat fields or corn fields, and I just thought that's how it was. That's how we all get our food. But food forest just makes complete sense to me, how you integrate all the different crops with each other so they can all support each other. And it's a very localized way of getting your food. So you have like the 7 layers of the upper canopy, lower canopy, the bush layer, bush shrub layer, the shrub vegetable layer, and the ground cover, the tuber layer, and then the vine layer going up. And all of those layers of a healthy natural forest could all be food producing. And if you throw all of those together, producing food medicinals for teas and stuff like that, then you'll have a thriving community in the forest. And it's a great exercise to kind of see how human communities can be set up and how we can all be self-supporting, and that the community itself doesn't even need any supreme oversight as a government, but the structure of the community is, the foundation is just so structurally sound that it would all eventually just run itself, and everybody would naturally choose the path to contribute that they want to contribute. Money doesn't even have to be a part of it. You just give of yourself freely. And it's a very natural way to give back to the community. You no longer need to be forced to go work at McDonald's to keep your way. You just choose, hey, I want to be a food forest gardener. That's what I would choose to do, even if I wasn't getting paid, which I'm not getting paid right now. That's what I choose to do. And people would just naturally flourish, I think, under a structure of free choice, ultimate freedom. And I don't see too many people publicly out there showing practice in this kind of experiment in human living, and I'd like to see a whole lot more of that on YouTube and such. So, to not be a hypocrite, I'm going out here and attempting to do this myself. I don't feel like I talk on cameras very well. It feels unnatural for me, just kind of talking to myself. But I'll only get good at it if I practice, right? And so the first place that me and my friends found the answer to the prayer of the promised land is a buffalo ranch down in California, where this crazy buffalo rancher lived, who was a friend of my uncle. That's how I knew him. It was on the west side of the coastal range in California, on Tehama County, where all those beautiful hills are. But that ended up not working out because the guy was crazy. He was nuts, couldn't handle being around him for very long. And so, I prayed once more for the promised land, and eventually came up to my grandmother's backyard. She had a plot of the back 5 acres, which we call the back 5. She has the front 5 where she has her house and some cleared area, and then the back 5, which is just a small space of cleared area, and then just a whole bunch of wild bush. So me and my friends went back there, did some excavating, made some trails, made some little nature structures, and planted a vegetable garden. This is the first time we planted a garden, so it was very experimental. We learned a lot of different things but eventually we were overgrown with weeds. We planted the seeds too close, but we got some good potatoes and some good carrots out of it, and we learned a whole lot. And it ended up being pretty beautiful looking, and it was a wonderful experience, and a lot of friends wanted to come out and enjoy kind of the camping experience, and I could have people to give out the message of sustainable living or the new way of life to. And so, like, through the last 4 years, I've been going to this summer camp, Soundview, a Presbyterian summer camp. you know, telling a lot of people about all of these ideas with food forests, and then a new way of living, and what I hope is going to happen in the near future. And lo and behold, after more prayers for the Promised Land, the director here said, yeah, you can do that here. Yeah, go ahead. If you write up a program proposal, and we'll give it to the Presbytery of Olympia team, and if you present it well, you can go ahead and create your own program, your own permaculture program. So it's working out far better than, you know, I ever would have expected, because it now gives me the potential to have a program here, a full running program where we have the food forest, you know, as the main project and the main thing to show people, and then we can also do sustainable energy and sustainable housing and kind of a watershed maintenance, because we have a cool little watershed here, and also clean energy and clean ways of disposing of waste, and compost toilets. And so all of these things, all the wonderful things of permaculture can be used here, and would all be to support the camp. And we would have a ministry to people who would come out during the summer. And you know, all the kids, we could, you know, get them while they're young. And you know, eventually guest groups who we could come out and show, and do have an educational program. So that's where I'm at right now. You know, there's a lot more to it. And maybe, you know, a lot more get out at further videos. But so far, since it's, you know, winter, I'm blessed that it's not raining right now. And yeah, we're pushing hard, really hard against the grain, and it's difficult. I'm kind of worn out after this week of hard work. But hopefully it'll all pay off.